Hey y'all, it is onion planting time. I am starting my onion seeds today. Today is September the 2nd, and for me in Zone 8, Central Alabama, the perfect planting time to start onion seeds is September 1st through September 15th. That's like the perfect window to start your onion seeds. Now, I've never grown onions from seeds. I've always just bought like the bulb sets, the little onion bulb sets, or onion plant starts. I've bought those and planted those and done okay with them, but they never got big. They just are like small or medium sized, and they didn't store very well, so I have to chop them all up and put them up in the freezer to make them preserve longer. So Jason over at CogHill is the one that really got me to wanting to grow my onions from seeds. He did this great video over 2 years ago where he grew onions from seeds, and he ended up with these big, huge, beautiful onions. And he talked all about how Greg over at Hoss Tools, you know, taught him how to grow the onions from seeds and told him that that's how he needed to do it if he wanted to get those really big onions. So when I saw his video, I was like, I gotta start doing that. Like, I've never just thought about growing onions from seed. I've always just done it from bulbs or starts. That's the way my father-in-law's always done it. That's just the way I did it. So I went over to the Hoss website and went to the Hoss University and got the grower's guide that's on there, and have been reading and learning about how to grow my onions from seeds. And I was gonna start them last year, but we had our son's wedding out here and I totally missed my window. So for 2 years now, I've had this in the plan and been excited to try this because it's a new, you know, it's something new for me. So I am stoked that it is time to plant these onion seeds. Okay, so the first thing that we need to understand to grow successful onions is that onion production is largely based on the amount of sunlight hours that they receive during the entire growing process of that onion. Now, to get that big, wonderful onion bulb that we're all after, then they have to have a certain amount of sunlight hours to develop that vegetative growth that comes up above the ground. Now, there's all different kinds of varieties of onions, and certain onions require certain amounts of sunlight. So the first thing that you really need to do is you need to determine which onions will grow best for you where you're at. Now, I'm in Central Alabama, Zone 8, and the best type onion for me to grow is a short day onion. And there's a chart on Hoss Tools. You can go to the Hoss University, go to the Onion Growing Guide, and there's a chart there that he has that shows you which onions that you need to grow for your area and your zone. So there's short day, intermediate day, and long day. And I'm short day onion. I'll put a picture up right here to show you that chart so that you can see what type onions you need to be growing. But I highly suggest that you go over to Hoss University, go to the Onion Growing Guide, and read all about that, and you'll learn so much just about growing onions. The short day varieties that I have chosen is Red Creole and Savannah Sweet and Plethora onions. So I've got a white, yellow, and a purple onion. Okay, so what I have here is a 50 cell tray right here. And that's what that looks like. There's 50 little plugs here. Now, I got these when I worked at Petals from the Past. We ordered in plugs on some things, and this is what they come in. These little plug cell trays here, and this is 50. There was 72, there was 100 and something, and I snagged these out of the dump and recycled them one day. So I've got stacks of them. But if you don't have that opportunity to do that, Hoss sells different plug trays like this as well. Seed plug trays, I think is what they're called. I don't know the exact term, but I think that's right. And I know that to grow the onions, he recommends the 338 cell tray. And that just means there's opportunity to plant 338 plants in one tray. Now this one, I've got 50. And those cell trays at Hoss are like real, super strong and thick, and will last you a really, really, really long time if you take care of them. See, like this one right here is broke on the end. All my last end ones are broke. But I recycled these from the dump, and I'm just going to continue using these until I can invest in some of those awesome cell trays from Hoss. But if you don't have the luxury of dumpster diving and finding these, then you can go check out the Hoss website and order you those cell trays, because they're pretty awesome. They're real tough and sturdy. And this is my bottom tray here. And you see how it holds water. It has no holes in it. And I ordered these from Greenhouse Megastore online 2 years ago. And they're kind of cheap. They're real flimsy. And they're warping. They're kind of warped. But they're still working. So as long as they're working, I'm going to keep using them. But whenever it's time to break down and buy more, I'll be ordering them from Hoss. But the reason why you want this bottom tray here is because, like I said, it holds water. So, and it bottom waters your starts. So what I've done is I saturated these really well with water. So I watered them, walked away, come back, watered them. I did that about 3 times, got them good and soaked. And then I put some water in my bottom tray here. And that way when I plant these seeds, I won't have to water them right away. And hopefully they can bottom water. And that way my little seeds don't get washed away and they can get established. Okay, the next thing that you want to do is you want to make like a little indentation in each cell for your seed. But I got this little trick here. You see these little plug cells right here. If I just line it up and sit it right on top of them and just kind of press down a little bit, it makes the perfect little indentation for my seed. It's almost just right. I'm going to start with my red Creole, and there's 250 seeds in each pack. That's a lot of onions. And Hoss has a really good germination rate, so I think I'm going to end up with a lot of onions. You don't want to plant them too deep. It's like twice as deep as the size of the seed is all you want to go. And these are little seeds. So you don't want to go too deep with them, or it'll take longer for them to germinate, if they even germinate. So I'm just putting them in this little indentation, and then I'll come back and sprinkle some soil over the top of them. So I'm going to start 300 onions today, 300 onion seeds today. And that kind of sounds like a lot when you first say it, but really it's not. We eat a lot of onions. Almost everything that I cook has an onion in it in some form or way. So, I mean, if you think about that, an onion a day is 365 onions. So 300 is not even really going to be enough. Now I've got my little thing of soil here. Actually, it's a lid to a garbage can. I couldn't find my little thing. And it works pretty good for real. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to come back and just lightly sprinkle some soil over it, not too deep. Now, if I had some perlite, I'd be using perlite to cover my seeds here. But I don't, so I'm just going to use what I've got. I'm going to use my seed starting mix. They'll do just fine. Use what you got. One thing I failed to mention earlier is you want to use a really good seed starting mix. You don't want to just use like soil conditioner or compost or, you know, potting soil. You want to try to get a really good seed starting mix and You know, you can pick that up at any nursery or garden supply store or big box store, or you can order it from Halls. They have a really good seed starting mix there too. I'm going to do another 50 cell tray of red Creole. That way this will give me 100 of each type of onion if they all germinate. For these onion seeds to get growing good and get these little starts established, we need a temperature of at least 75 degrees. So I'm going to grow these out in my greenhouse. They need to be in sun. I'm going to grow these out here in my greenhouse. I still don't have plastic on my greenhouse yet, so it's not going to be too hot in there. But I'm growing them out here. You can grow them under a grow light if that's what you need to do indoors. We just need to make sure there's a temperature of at least 75 degrees. And we're going to have to water these at least probably like 2 to 3 times a day. And we got to start feeding them fertilizer at least once a week. So they're heavy feeders. Onions are heavy feeders, so they need to be watered consistently and stay moist, and they need to be fed with fertilizer once a week. The Halls Growing Guide recommends using the 20-20-20 fertilizer that they carry on these onions because they're such heavy feeders, and fertilizing them once a week. So as soon as I go in, I'm going to get my order placed for some fertilizer so that I can make sure I'm feeding these onions properly so that they'll grow right. So all we have left to do now is just keep them watered, keep them fertilized, pray God's blessings, watch them grow, and when they're about the size of a pencil, that's when they're ready to be transplanted. And I'm hoping that's going to be right around November when it's time to put onions in the garden. Okay, you guys, today was just a little quick video about growing our onions from seeds. I want to bring you guys along with me on the whole process of this, of growing our onions from a little tiny seed to a big, delicious onion bulb that we can all get excited about. So in each step in development of this process, I'm just going to make little quick videos and just show you guys what I'm doing and how to do this. And I'm going to make like a playlist of how to grow your onion from seed. So we're going to go through the whole process from starting the seed today to transplanting it in the garden, to growing it, to harvesting it, to storing it, and then maybe even some good recipes of using onions. As always, thank you guys so much for hanging out with me in the garden. God bless you, and I'll see y'all in the next video.